Hi everyone, Dave here, and welcome to the complete guide to every F1 game on PlayStation ever. Yes, I know, but I'm going to try and do it. I may have trouble getting some of these games, but anyway, we start with the first game, of course, Formula 1, released in 1996, so it's almost 20 years old this September. The first question I get asked a lot is, does it have a Mario Kart mode? Well, when I say Mario Kart mode, of course, I'm talking about the arcade mode, and yes it does, there it is, it's quick race. So let's get straight into the race. As you can see, we're at Monaco and we've jumped literally straight into Michael Schumacher's Benetton, and we've rewound the clock back to 1995, because of course this is based on the 1995 season. So you've got Michael Schumacher in the Benetton, you've got the Hill and Coulthard pairing in both the Williams, and oh my god, that car's just gone straight through the wall. Anyway, so let's have a look at the graphics. How do you think the graphics have fared after 20 years? Well, I have to say they don't look too bad at all. Don't forget, of course, this is a PS1 game. Yes, PlayStation 1, that big grey slab that nobody ever bothers about anymore and usually throws in the skip. But there you go. So we're just coming down to the casino section at Monaco. I'm trying to get past a faulty Ford. Yes, that's the yellow car. Yes, one of the greatest teams in Formula 1 ever. Yes, that is sarcasm. And I'm trying to get past, I don't know who it is. I think it's Minardi. I'm not quite sure though. So we go through the tunnel section at Monaco, and as you can see, it's very, very bloody dark because there's no lights. So we come out of the tunnel section now, and as you can see, we're also going to get a time extension. There it is. Yes, there's the full arcade experience. And the only thing that's missing is there is no excitable commentary from someone telling you to push now. Anyway, we move on to the menu options. Okay, you've got the controller setup, you've got the sound setup, you've got the high scores, the screen setup, and the famous memory card utility setup. So we move on now to the one player mode. You've got the choice of arcade or Grand Prix. We've just seen the arcade mode, of course. And on to the Grand Prix mode now. If we click on the button, you will see you've got the option of single race, championship, ladder, car setup, and race setup. So single race and championship is quite self-explanatory. Ladder is you have to beat someone from a team just a few positions further up the grid than what your team is, and then you make your progress up the ladder. And now we move on to the car setup screen, which allows you to change all the things on the car. As you can see, we've got gear assist. You can have automatic gears, or you can have manual gears. As you can see, you can have your steering assistance off, or you can switch it on, and the same with the braking assist. And downforce, you can have really maximum downforce, or you can put it right down to really low. And you can have your starting fuel as either off or all the way up to 100%, should you so desire. One question about the controller settings, of course. Don't forget, this game was released before the analog thumbsticks, so you control the game with the D-pad by stabbing it left and right. Okay, into the race setup screen now. You've got wet weather, variable weather, or dry weather. The variable weather actually is a bit misleading because whatever session you start on, if it starts wet, the whole of the session will be wet. It doesn't actually dry up at any point during the race. A couple of times I do believe I've seen it do that, but it's very rare. So there's the weather settings. Now we go on to the tyre wear. You can have tyre wear on or tyre wear off, of course. You can have the damage off or the damage on. And you can have boost, so if you start to fall down the field, you can catch up, which is basically what it is, catch up. And in the championship, you can have the 1995 season order, or you can have a completely random order, which means that the performance of the cars will be basically all over the place. So a Minardi could quite easily win it. And you can have a race length from 5% right up to 100%. So in theory, you could have a 27% Grand Prix. So we move on now from the race setup to, let's have a look at the single race. In the one player mode, you can have your skill level at easy, medium or hard, and you can have the rounds at 1 round or all the way up to 17 rounds. And also the game type is either full grid or dual. That's basically for 2 player. So let's move on to the next question that I always seem to get asked in the comments, and that is, can you drive it yourself? Sadly you can't, but you can drive for Benetton as Michael Schumacher or Johnny Herbert. Oh yes, and the next pairing is Damon Hill and David Coulthard, of course, at Williams Renault. And next you can drive as such greats at Ferrari as John Alesi or Gerhard Berger. I mean, why would you want to drive it yourself when you can drive as these icons? And next is McLaren Mercedes. You can drive as Mark Blundell or Mika Hakkinen, and of course Nigel Mansell and Jan Magnussen as well. So we move on to the next team. We've got the Ligier Mugen Honda of Martin Brundle and Olivier Panis and Aguri Suzuki as well. Our next team that you can drive for is Jordan Peugeot, and you can either be Ruby Barrichello or Eddie Irvine. Okay, moving on to the next team, and it's Sauber Ford, and you can be John Christoph Bouillon or Heinz-Harald Frentzen, or Heinz-Harald Frentzen as I like to call him, and Karl Wendlinger. So we move on to the next team now that you can drive for. And it is Tyrrell Yamaha, with their pilots being Yukio Katayama or Mika Salo or Gabriele Tarquini, who I do believe raced in touring cars in the UK back in the day. You can also drive for Footwork Heart as Gianni Morbidelli or Taki Anui or Massimiliano Papis. I'm sure I've got that name right. That one caught me out. I wasn't expecting that one. We move on to Minardi Ford now, and you can drive for Pier Luigi Martini or Luca Badoa or Pedro Lamy. I'm getting well confused with the names now. Or Pacific Ford, you can drive as Bertrand Gachot or Andrea Montemini, or maybe John Dennis Dalatraz, or maybe John Vanargi. Oh, for God's sake. On to 40 Ford now, of course, and you can drive as Pedro Diniz or Roberto Moreno. Is there any more? Yes, there is. You've got Simtek Ford as well. You can drive as Mimo Scattarelli or Jos Verstappen, of course, Jos the Vos. Oh, I'm glad that's over. Okay, the circuits you can drive in Formula 1 are Monte Carlo at Monaco, Montreal in Canada, Magny-Cours in France, Silverstone, Great Britain, Hockenheim in Germany, the Hungaroring in Hungary, Spa-Francorchamps in Belgium, Monza in Italy, Estoril in Portugal, Nürburgring in Europe, Aida in Pacific, Suzuka at Japan, Adelaide in Australia, Interlagos at Brazil, Buenos Aires in Argentina, and Imola at San Marino. And also Spain, I think, is in there as well. Anyway, we move on now to this is actually the championship season, as you can call it. We've got practice, qualify, or the race. We're going to go as Johnny Herbert in the Benetton. One of my favourite all-time tracks, of course, it's Adelaide. I was very disappointed when this was removed from the calendar and didn't appear in Formula 1 97. Well, not in the championship anyway. So, as we start the race, the next question I get asked quite a lot is the handling of the cars. Well, as I said earlier, you use the actual D-pad because there's no analog stick. And I have to say, it's not too bad after all these years, just stabbing away at the D-pad. It's not quite the same and you don't get the same level of control, but overall I was slightly impressed, I have to say, with the level of control you still managed to get from the D-pad. Oh my god, and as I say that, I spin straight into the wall. Yes, I do believe that, if my memory serves me right, you did spin out quite a lot, of course, yes. Anyway, I'm trying to find reverse now. It's okay, I'm going to catch up to the field. Oh my god, I've hit the wall again. I'm going to catch up to the field quite quickly because it's only on very easy, I think. And of course, I'm just demonstrating the game. We're not trying to win career modes, of course. So, Johnny Herbert, 24th position at the moment as he tries to catch up the rest of the field at the glorious, glorious Adelaide circuit. Absolutely, I absolutely adore this track. And hopefully we will catch up to some of the cars. Yes, look at that. We've already caught up with one of the back markers. That's probably a Minardi. So let's have a look now at the camera views that are also on offer in this game. As you can see, we've got the very low down view, which doesn't offer you any piece of the car in front, so you can't see any bit of your own car. It's just the basic right down to the floor view. Oh my god, I just hit a faulty Ford. This is now the classic nose cam or T-cam view that they call it nowadays. And as you can see, I'm trying to get past A40 Ford. Now onto the damage, of course. Yes, now the damage, I'm just cycling through some more of the views on offer. We've got the chase view now. The damage is in percentages, so it goes from 0 to 100, and when you get to 100%, your wing will fall off. There's no actual physical crumpling of the wings, you don't get to see any of that, but your wing will just fall off and you'll have to come into the pits for a new wing. That's either the front wing or the rear wing, although I do believe the rear wing doesn't come off, I'm not quite sure. So we're going to move on now and we're going to make a pit stop in a minute, because even though this is only a 3-lap race, it looks like pit stops have been enabled as I'm trying to get past some of the back markers, as you can see there. I think that's a Minardi actually, is that one? I'm not quite sure. Of course, these are the liveries from the 1995 season, which is what this game is based on, even though it came out in 1996. And there, of course, is the far out view, the furthest view out that you can get as I come in to make my pit stop now. As you can see, there's no pit crew, of course, because this was a very early game. There's no damage to the car because, of course, the damage is switched off. And as you can see, they are currently refueling the car as the red bar on the right hand side there is slowly filling up. We have to then press the button when it says go, 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 as Murray would say. And so out I go. And I mean, I don't know if it lasts, but there's lots of people coming into the pits, as you can see, or in the pits. And I rejoin the field. Okay, the next question I always get asked is it worth buying? Well, to be frank, that's quite a good question and really not relevant though, because you can probably pick this game up from eBay for about £2 or I don't know, a couple of dollars, €3, whatever your currency is currently at this moment. And so that's not really the question. The question is, do you want to invest in a piece of history? Formula 1 history, and that is exactly what this game is, because this is the game that introduced Formula 1 to PlayStation. So the next question I get asked is replays. Are there any replays in the game? Yes, there is. It actually does a full race replay. I do believe if you go on to longer races of over 50%, it runs out of time, I think, on the replay and doesn't do the whole replay. Not quite sure on that, but as you can see at the moment, because it's only 3 laps, it'll do the full 3-lap replay. And also, if you press the, I think it's the start button, I'm not quite sure, you can actually cycle through the drivers and get yourself further up the grid. So I'm going to do that right now. I finally found out which button it is, and I'm going to scroll through the drivers until we reach David Coulthard, who is currently in 4th position in the Williams. Wow, it's like I planned this ahead. So there we go, past, was that Nigel Mansell? And there he is, David Coulthard in the Williams Renault. So you can get to see the replays of every car in the field. So last question I get asked is, does it work on the PS3? Yes, this game is 100% compatible with the PS3. Okay, I hope this has been informative for you, and thanks for watching everyone. There will of course be more later.